Welcome to the MariPosa Show. Hi, I'm James Gomez, your special guest host today. And today we turn the tables on none other than MariPosa as I have the opportunity to interview her. So stay tuned for the MariPosa Show. But you always thought it was going to get better.
I always thought if I do what he tells me and I behave and I cook better and I clean better, and then it's going to get better.
Hi, Maria Martinez. How are you today?
I'm good.
You're good. Now, first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I froze. I froze.
Okay, no, you're
Okay,
okay.
wait,
Okay.
I froze.
Okay, well, we're just keep going. Just relax. Okay. First of all, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, where were you born, first of all?
Wait, I got nervous.
You're just
Okay,
talking to me.
okay,
You're
let's
just
try this
talking to me.
again.
You're talking
Okay,
to me.
let's try
Okay,
this
just
again.
talking to me again.
Let's try it.
We're just
Okay.
talking. Okay.
About
Today we're here with Maria Martinez, and we're going to learn a little bit about her life and
a little bit about
some of the.
MariPosa.
That's right, MariPosa. Well, first of all, tell me, how did you get the nickname MariPosa?
There we go. I think it's a way of me expressing freedom. Um, it's kind of like coming out of a cocoon because of my abusive relationship. I was stuck in like a box, like I had no freedom.
Uh-huh.
And once I started talking to people and I would express how I grew as a person,
Mm-hmm.
it's where my wings came out, and I thought of myself, hey, what better name than MariPosa?
And you came up with that yourself?
I did,
Okay.
for freedom.
Okay, let's go way back to your childhood. First of all, where were you born?
I was born in Mexico, in a small little town, in a small little village.
And what was this little village in town called?
It's called Guerrero, and
Uh-huh.
it's Los Alces Guerrero,
Uh-huh.
near
And
Acapulco.
now tell me a little bit about your childhood. What did you do as a child?
As a child, I was very active with our schools. I like to volunteer in plays. I like to dance. I was in dance competitions, and I enjoyed life just like everybody else. I was free. I didn't know evil, and I just remember playing with dolls, with corn. Actually, it wasn't even dolls. I
Corn husk?
yeah,
Okay.
I play with corn. I would literally do like the whole hair and stuff.
So
I thought of
where
it
do you
as
fall into? You have brothers and sisters. Tell me who are your brothers and sisters.
I have a beautiful sister, and then I have a younger brother,
Uh,
and then my second brother, and then it's me, and then it's my older sister.
okay.
So,
So you're somewhere right in the middle of that.
right.
So you used to play with dolls and in Mexico. Were those the best of the times you thought?
I would say yes, because I was so innocent.
Uh-huh.
So yes, it was the best time. It's like you're so happy. You're a child. There's
So
no worries.
so look so looking back at your childhood, what is your fondest memory as a child?
I would have to say seeing my mom come home from her long doctor visits. I was so happy to see her because she would always bring me a toy.
Okay.
and I missed her.
So your parents, who are your parents?
My parents, my mom is no longer with us. Her name is Avelia Saavedra.
And then, uh-huh.
My beautiful father is in Anaheim.
Uh-huh.
Hardworking, has the most hardworking man I know that works so hard to provide
Where did your
for
parents
us.
meet?
They met in Chicago.
They met in Chicago,
Yes.
and they fell in love.
I don't know. I don't think they were in love. I think they thought they were in love. Um, yeah.
Why do you say you don't? Why do you say you don't think they were in love?
I think they were in love after that, after they got together. I think my mom was running away from an abusive father. So um, she thought by leaving with him, it was going to be
So you're saying the love
over.
grew over a period of time.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then from Chicago, how did they end up in Mexico?
Well, they thought that since my father had land over there, and my mom wanted to be part of her siblings, she wanted to be closer to them, so they moved back to Mexico.
Okay. And for you, what was your favorite part of your childhood?
Like, I would say the part where I got to travel and I got to do like a lot of dancing competitions, as far as I can remember, because I was happy I was doing something I enjoyed.
So you really liked school growing up?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I did.
What did you do with your brothers and sisters? Were there any activities you all did as a family?
Well, see, the thing is, my sister was born in Chicago before my parents decided to move back to Mexico. So me and my sister didn't really grow up together. So
How much older is she than you?
a year older.
Okay.
A year older. So right after my parents left to Mexico, I believe my mom got sick, and then my sister's eye vision was really bad. So my father decided to move to California to help my sister. So her family fell apart.
Yeah.
Went apart. Didn't fall apart, but went apart for
What illness did your mom have?
lupus.
Now, can you tell me, do you remember when you were told that she was sick, or how did you find out that she was sick?
I didn't find out she was sick. Well, I knew she was sick because my grandma had to take care of us because she had to go to a doctor's appointment in Mexico, and sometimes she would stay there. And we were too young to know. So I probably found out she was sick when we had to move over here.
When you had to move to California?
California.
And you moved to California so she get treatment?
So she can get treatment, yeah.
And what were those days like when she was sick for you?
Hard. Hard because my childhood was in the hospital most of the time. Like, I didn't have a normal childhood like everyone else did. I would go to school, and from school I would go straight to the hospital to be with her because I was so close to her.
So it's very painful for you to see her suffer.
It was. Actually, even when she came home, it was very painful. I still remember this day when we would bring her home because she got better, right? But she still had to get treatment. So nurses would just come, and it was like she got shots left and right. And I just remember hiding underneath the bed because I was so scared. And till this day, it has affected me where I don't do well with needles. It just panics me. Yeah.
So about how long did this sick? When did you first basically find out that she was ill?
I must have been like 8, 9 years old when I found out.
So it was a long illness then for a long time.
It was. Actually, according to what I was told from family members, they only gave her a year to live, and she lived a lot longer than what she was supposed to.
What did your mom mean to you?
The world. Till this day, she means the world to me. She shared a lot of beautiful moments, and she taught me a lot of good values.
What's the best lesson she ever taught you?
To love and forgive, and to never wish bad upon anybody as much as they hurt you.
If your mom were here today, What do you think she'd think of you today?
I think first of all, she'd be like crazy in love with her grandkids.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about mine, I'm talking about my sisters and brothers
Yeah.
in general. And I think she would be very proud of my accomplishments. And I like to think she'd be very proud of me. I was her princess. I was her everything. And to this day, I think I can feel her presence, and we're still close.
Uh,
Yeah,
you pray to her or
I
talk
talked
to
to
her?
her. Yes,
What do you
I
tell her?
um I told her English got better over time.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like sometimes I'm getting ready to go to work or to go to an event or to help in any way I can in a cause or a charity, and I'm trying to like look good because always worried about what I'm wearing and how I'm wearing it and not repeating it and like matching stuff. And sometimes I feel like she'll like throw something at me and be like, and throw this on.
Uh,
And I'm like, oh, like this will match you. This will look good. And I'm like, oh, mom, your English has gotten so much better over time.
Now let's talk a little bit about when you lost your mom. I mean, at what point did you realize that she wasn't going to get better, and it was headed down a path that you really didn't want to go to?
I always prayed because I was raised Catholic. I always prayed to Virgin Mary when she got sick, when they had to rush her to the
Yeah.
hospital, which was pretty scary. And because she had to be rushed to the hospital like many times, many times, because her illness. And I always prayed to Virgin Mary, and I never thought I actually thought she was forever.
You thought she was going to live forever?
I thought she was forever. I never thought. I thought I don't even think I knew what death was at that time.
So, where did she pass away? Where were you? How did you find out?
I was actually home. It was December 25th, a day right
Christmas Day?
Christmas Day after Nochebuena. We had family over from Chicago. It was beautiful. She was happy. I was home. My sister was home. We were all home in a small little apartment. We were all family crowded together.
Here in
It
Park?
yeah, it actually was very beautiful. She was happy.
Whole family was together then.
She had two brothers of her visiting, and she had her nephews over. She was just happy. It happened so quick. It happened really quick. I still remember that I I heard my dad screaming, call 911, and I panicked. I I I just ran. Instead of calling 911, I just ran outside screaming for help. I just panicked.
Uh-huh. Was that the hardest part of your life, losing your mom?
Yes.
Were you able to tell her any final words?
I was too scared. I remember my sister hugging her. And crying and screaming, and I was scared. I was so scared, and that's it. I blacked out. I passed out. I I was pregnant at that time. I was 4 months pregnant, and I blacked out. I don't remember anything. I just remember getting to the hospital, and some priest, no black, touching me from the back and telling me your mom has passed away, not knowing that I was pregnant, and I blacked out again. And they took me to a room, and I was in denial. I thought she was forever. I was in denial. It took me a long time to accept it. Yeah.
Do you worry to die? Do you fear death?
At some point I did. At some point I did because of my boys.
Uh-huh.
And because I think that it, it's not a pretty thing, it's a scary thing. I think we're all afraid of that. But as I started building my relationship with God, and I feel like I do, but not as much as I used to. Like now I understand it more, and it's a path that we all.
Well, let's talk about building your relationship with God. How did you build your relationship with God? Tell me about that.
Well,
Where's your faith?
it took me a while because at first I was in denial. I was very hurt with them, and then they gave me the opportunity of moving to La Habra, and I got to meet a lot of beautiful people that started inviting me to church,
Hmm.
and it was just beautiful. And then I was more at peace with myself. At that point, I was more out of so much stress as raising my kids on my own. So I feel like I was more alone time. I had more alone time to think, and it just happened natural, really.
So you said you were pregnant, 4 months pregnant when your mom passed away. Did she know at the time you were pregnant, or did not know?
She did.
Okay, so let's talk about the pregnancy and you becoming a very young mom. Tell me about that experience. What happened? When did you become pregnant? When did you become pregnant?
I was 15 years old at
Okay.
that time.
You're 15,
Yes, uh,
and the person that impregnated you was
20 at that time.
20, and you were 15.
Hmm.
And how were your parents with that situation?
Very hard.
Yeah,
Very hard.
yeah. Did you find out first, or did your parents? How did you find out you were pregnant?
I. It's strange how it happened. I knew what I did was wrong. I knew I had done a boo boo, and it's weird how I felt it. Like it
No,
was
no.
just an instant
Basically, what
feeling.
I'm asking is,
Hmm.
you went and took a test. Did you go to the doctor? I mean, how did you find out?
No, I actually started throwing up, and I was so afraid of throwing up. I every time I threw up, I as a child when I got sick,
Yeah,
like everybody in the house knew because I was an escandalosa.
yeah,
Like I'm like the drama queen
yeah.
of home, right? Like I'm like daddy's and mommy's little princess. So I every time I had to vomit, I would wake everybody up.
So you were
So
15 and you started vomiting,
yes,
and that was the first sign. So you were getting some kind of morning sickness,
yes,
evening sickness, and you were getting sick.
and I had to vomit, and I didn't know how to tell my mom.
Did you think at the time that you could be pregnant?
I knew I was
You
at
knew
that
you were.
time. I knew I made a mistake, and I knew at
I
that
mean, when you
time.
said you knew, did you take a test, or you just knew in your heart of hearts?
I just knew in my heart. It's weird.
Uh huh.
It's really, really weird. I
Uh huh.
just knew in my heart I was.
So,
And then I
mm,
started feeling sick, and then I said, yep. Within 2 weeks, I started getting morning sicknesses, and I was like, yep, I'm screwed.
you said that. So, did you take a test first before you told your parents, or
Yes, actually, I still remember.
okay,
I went, I was so scared. I went and I bought,
pregnancy test?
yeah, I took it. I was freaking out when I saw the thing
The results?
positive. I was like, I'm dead. My parents are going to kill me.
Yeah. So you took the test and it came out positive. Where did you take the test at?
The restroom.
The rest you took the test at the
The
restroom.
rest, I was shaking. I was
Yeah. I
scared.
mean, did you go to a grocery store and bought it, pharmacy, and then you
Pharmacy, yes.
did it there? Say, so then the person that the father, do you want to mention his name?
No.
No, okay. So the person that
I call him the donor.
okay, well, okay. So that person, what was his reaction when he found out that you know you were pregnant?
He was very upset.
Upset at you?
Hmm.
Well, does it take two to tango?
I like to think so.
Yeah. So tell me, what was your reaction? He was upset. What did he tell you?
He said you need to get an abortion.
Really?
Hmm.
And you said,
No. It's against my beliefs, and it's against my religion.
Okay. So you said you're keeping your baby, just like the song.
Mhm.
Then the time that you had to go and tell your parents. But did you bring them in together? Did you tell your mom? Who did you?
I had a really good relationship with my mom. She was my best friend, so I still remember this day. I sit down and I talked to her and I told her, Mom, I got something to tell you.
Do you think she knew?
No, she trusted me. No, she didn't know. She thought, I think as a mom, you want your kids to go to school
So
and get ready
you tell
for.
your mom, and then what was her reaction?
She slapped me.
She slapped you.
Yes, in the face. Mhm.
Bam. ¿Qué te dijo?
Pendeja.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then she started crying, and then she hugged me.
Wow.
Mhm. She said, ¿Cómo le voy a decir a tu papá? How
Which means, how are we going to
your
tell your
dad's
father?
gonna kill me.
How are you going to tell your father?
No,
So how did you tell your father?
I didn't. I ran away.
You ran away.
No, I thought it'd be easier if I moved with him. Then he can't hurt me, which my dad never touched me. Um, he pulled our ears here and there, but he wasn't abusive.
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, I was afraid to look at my father in the face. I was so
So
ashamed
you
of
basically
myself.
took off. You left.
Yeah.
You moved out,
Yes.
and you moved in with the sperm donor, as you call him.
Mhm.
So you go. At the time, obviously, you think you're in love. What?
I, at that time, I thought I was, but I wasn't. I
Okay,
think
well, what? Tell me, what did you think of this guy that you're with? What was your world? I mean, was he your everything back then?
you know what he was. I thought he cared about me, and I thought we were when we were dating, we were having too much fun. We were going to parties. We were drinking.
You were drinking at 15?
Yes, I was being young and dumb, and I was having too much fun. So I thought, you know how your parents are always
Yeah.
controlling you. Not that they're controlling you, but
But
they
want the
want the
best
best
for you.
for
They
you,
want the best for you.
and
They want to
and
see
you
your
can't
best
do this
interest
and you can't
and
do that,
take care.
and
They set boundaries in your
right.
life.
So I thought by me moving in with him, we were gonna live happily ever after, just like Beauty and the Beast.
So how was that though? You're there and you're 15. Was there any thought of this guy's 20 years old? You're 15. That's statutory rape now. Was there anything of
Yes,
wanting to press charges
yes,
or anything
there
of that?
was, there was actually. When at that time, of course, just like everybody else. I mean, not everybody else, but at that time, I didn't have insurance. So yes, I had to go to social services and get Medi-Cal, and they wanted it to know
With the
who the
father?
father was. So yes, they did say if I don't go move back home, that he was gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you move back home?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I did.
So when you moved in with him, where did you guys first move into?
Well, my parents thought since he was the father of my child, that it was his job, which to be responsible for us.
Yeah.
So it happened really, really quick. We didn't move in with each other because we had to be apart. But I would
But
spend a
you
lot of.
first moved in with him. You moved in with him, and you had they told you
Yes.
to go back. Okay.
Well, when we first moved in, we moved into her sister's house,
Okay.
which she was so good to me.
Okay.
Yes, she taught me so much.
So you moved into your parents' house. Did he move in with you guys?
At that time, no, we stayed apart. I would spend a lot of time with them, so it was kind of like we did move in
Yeah.
at his sister's house because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So I did spend a lot of time with them, but no, I was at my dad's for a little bit, and he was at his sister's for a little bit.
So during that period of time, he was good to you then?
No,
No. Okay. You have been very open over the years that you're a victim of domestic violence.
Correct.
So when did the abuse start? Tell me about the first time he laid a hand on you or was abusive to you, or when you thought, wow.
It was when we were dating. It started when we were dating, and I didn't see it.
So where were you? What was the circumstances?
Um, Somehow he found out I was out with friends, and we went and hanged out and at a party, and somehow it got to him, and he found out about it, and he's like, "Oh, I need to talk to you." You know, friends talk; they say whatever they want to say,
Yeah.
and it got to him, and he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Let's go to the park."
To the park.
And he grabbed me from my neck and choked me, and he's like, "Where the
F for you.
were you?"
And you're 15.
Yeah,
You're 15 or were you younger?
15.
15. And you said?
I said, "I'm sorry."
Uh-huh.
I said, "It won't happen again."
Uh-huh. So that was the first sign that he was abusive. And then it continued from there?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I thought,
So by the time you were pregnant, had he hit you?
yes, he pushed me a couple times.
Yeah. But you always thought it was going to get better.
I always thought if I do what he tells me and I behave and I cook better and I clean better, and then it's going to get better.
So at 15, you were cooking and cleaning and acting like a grown-up, doing all the grown-up things that your kid. But in a sense, you're kind of acting like a grown-up already, huh?
Hmm.
Having to cook and be a wife at 15, kind of.
And at that time, I'm also trying to be there for my brothers as well. Yes.
Because your mom had just died.
Hmm.
So your family is in chaos, so to speak.
Yeah, we're broken. We fell apart.
Yeah.
We didn't have mom holding us together
Mhm.
anymore.
So when did you give birth to your first son, Eric? What day?
At 16, May 6th, 1997.
Okay. And what hospital? Tell me about it.
It was Sanana Hospital, and it's called Sanana. It was called Sanana
Uh-huh.
Hospital at that time. It doesn't exist anymore.
So 15 years old and you're giving labor. Are you afraid?
I was scared. I was really, really scared. I had no clue. I just knew. I was tired of being pregnant.
Yeah.
I was just like tired. I was
Was your
like, I just want
boyfriend
to have him.
was your boyfriend there with you?
Yes,
He was there during the birth of
yes.
the child. Okay. And the pregnancy itself, was it very difficult for you being so young? And I imagine in a lot of pain to have a baby. Um, were you in a lot of pain?
See, emotionally or
Well, physically,
physically?
both. I mean,
I think emotionally, I was hurting because I was missing my mom, and it was a
yeah,
very important time of my life, and I would have loved to have her there
yeah.
with me. And physically, it was painful. Of course,
Yeah.
yes, labor
So
labor is painful.
by the time you were giving birth, were you 16 at the time, or were you still 15?
16. No, I was 16
You're
at that
16,
time. I had just
giving
turned
birth.
16.
So you have Eric. What's your boyfriend's reaction at the time? Was he happy? Were you all happy at the time?
Of course, he was happy. That was his child, and at first he was in denial. I like to think he was scared, and he didn't know how to deal with it, or he was just being a coward. But
When you
yes,
say
of course he was
denial,
happy.
he was in denial that it was his child, denial that you were having a
No, no,
baby.
no,
What was the
no.
denial?
I think he was more afraid of the responsibility. Yes, he was happy, and at the same time, he went crazy on me because Eric was very light, and he said, "That's not my baby."
So when he was born, he said, "That's not my baby."
Yeah,
Okay.
and just because of his color skin.
Yeah.
And his mom looked at him and was like, "Are you nuts?
Yeah.
Like, did you know that she comes from very fair uh, family.
Yeah. So he denied it was his baby.
Yeah.
At any point, did he really accept Eric or not?
At some point, he had preference for Jonathan,
Yeah.
and he even told him at a very young age that in front of him that that was his uh, hijo preferido,
Yeah.
and I got very hurt, and that was one of the reasons why we fought so much because Jonathan looks more like him, so he
Yeah.
had preference. He accepted them later on when he was in prison.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So after you having Eric, did you guys move in together finally?
Yes, we did.
You move in, and where did you move to?
I believe because we moved so many times because of the abusive relationship, we moved back to his sisters.
You moved back to his sisters.
Hmm.
So you move in, you have a brand new baby. Seemingly you're happy because you have a new baby. And the abuse continues?
Continues.
Tell me about it. What are some of the things that set him off?
Anything really. I still remember that one thing that really makes me laugh till this day because I was very young. I didn't know how to cook, and I remember, and it was sad. But now that I look back, I'm like, wow, the little things that upset him. I made him some eggs for
Yeah.
lunch, right? For lunch,
Yeah.
and I don't remember if it was for lunch or dinner, but they were salty.
Yeah.
They were salty, and he threw a fit.
Yeah.
And that was enough for him to be very hurtful and say very hurtful things.
What did he do? Did he hit you over the eggs?
He threw them at me.
He threw the eggs at you.
Yes, yes.
So what was okay, so then you have Eric and then you're in this relationship. At what point do you become pregnant again?
After we separated,
Oh, you separated from each other.
yes, we separated from each other. I finally said enough. I don't want to be in this relationship
Yeah.
anymore. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Um, at that time, I started working for a restaurant,
Yeah.
and I started getting attention from someone else, which I kind of liked because I didn't have it at home.
Another person.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and I that time I felt like, hey, I kind of started opening my eyes, and I'm like, I'm in a relationship. I'm not happy, so it's time
Move on.
to move on. He would come home. I wasn't happy. I was a miserable person, and I could remember calling my friend and telling her, I am not happy. I I'm getting attention from somewhere else, and I'm liking it.
Uh-huh.
And she said, good. Maybe that would help because she knew
Yeah.
everything I was going through. She knew how bad he treated me, how poorly, how he would go and party with his friends. I mean,
Uh-huh.
he wasn't faithful himself
Yeah.
to me. He would come home, I would find lipstick stains, and
Yeah.
our relationship just
Yeah.
went sour. I don't think we were happy. I think we were trying to make it work
Yeah.
for Eric, but we were not. We were not
Unhappy.
happy. So she said, good. And I said, good, no, I'm married. And she said, Maria, you're in an abusive relationship. You're not happy.
Yeah.
It's time to move out. It's time to leave. And I, I think he noticed, I think he realized that I wasn't happy. So he started accusing me of having an affair, which,
And you were?
if flirting is an affair, then I guess I was.
No, well, you
Then
did
I
say
guess I was.
you said you're getting
I,
attention elsewhere, so I
I
wonder.
was getting attention somewhere else, and I was liking it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
So where did you move out to?
I moved back home.
Went back home. Okay. So you move back home, you're out of the relationship, and at some point you get pregnant again.
And
What happened?
actually, I didn't want to get pregnant, but I had needs, just like we all have needs. I like to think I'm not the only one. And I figured if I'm gonna do it with somebody, might as well do it with the father of my kids, even though I don't want to get back with them. and he would actually intentionally try to get me pregnant so I would get back with him. And he did. Eventually he did. It worked out.
So you got pregnant again.
Yeah, and my dad said, "Are you crazy?"
How many years apart are Eric and Jonathan?
4 years.
4 years apart. So 4 years.
Yeah.
So do you move back in with him now? You're pregnant again. You move back?
I thought, you know what? He loves me. This time it was him wanting to have a kid and not me. This is gonna work. We're gonna be
You live
happy.
happily ever after.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And?
The abusive just gets worse and worse and worse. I still remember that one time when you're coming home, we're arguing about something. I don't recall it what it was. Eric's in the front. No, actually, both boys are with me in the front, and I'm getting my Jonathan out of the cart seat because he's crying.
Yeah.
And I just remember I said something, or we were arguing about something. He turns around and just hits me on the nose, like just literally punches me,
Yeah.
and he breaks my nose, and my nose was crooked.
Yeah. And you still put up with that.
Yes,
What did you do?
I would stay quiet. I wouldn't say anything because I thought I deserved it. I thought because I I did him wrong in a way.
Yeah.
I felt like I deserved it.
Did your family members know that all this domestic violence was going on?
Yes.
And they did nothing about it? What was their reaction?
Actually, my family confronted him many times.
Uh-huh.
My father called the cops on him many times. And when the cops would arrive, I would deny it
You deny it. Why did you deny it?
because I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want him to go to jail, and I didn't want my kids to be without a father.
Tell me about the worst situation that happened to you in this domestic violence relationship with him. What did he do to you? How bad did it get?
He punched me so hard and kicked me to the floor so bad, and Eric was trying to protect me.
How old was Eric, you think?
At that time, he was 4.
4?
4 or 5.
Yeah.
And he was stopping his father from hitting me, and his father pushed him to the wall, and he passed out.
Uh-huh.
He was upset because he didn't want to let me go to a birthday party with my girlfriend and her kids, which was a kid's birthday party.
Uh-huh. Very controlling, huh?
Mhm.
At what point did he say you had enough?
I think at that point where he throws my child to the wall, and he passed out, I tried to reach for the phone to call 911, and he disconnected the phone and took the phone with him to work. I played it off like I was gonna stay. I said, "I love you. I'm gonna stay. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm so sorry I upset you. I am not going to this birthday party," which it was a family's birthday party. I was going with my really close friend at that time.
So you're apologizing, but at that point, it's more of a survival thing that you're trying to do.
Yes. At that point, he gives me his cell phone, and he tells me, "Call your friend and tell her you're not going." So I did just as I was told. But that night he had not came home. He was out using.
Using?
Yes.
So he was a drug user?
Yes.
Okay.
And she knew things were not good, so she had a feeling that I was lying. So she came and she's like, something told me that something was wrong.
Yeah.
He had just left, and she said, "Get in the car. You're not coming home."
Yeah. So you got in the car, and where did you guys go to?
I stayed at her house because she wasn't gonna let me go until because I had left before,
Yeah, yeah.
and she put me in a hotel. She paid for it and everything, and she said first thing in the morning you're gonna go to social services and you're gonna accuse them of domestic violence. So instead of going to the social services, I called him and I asked them to come pick me up. Like, let's work things out. So this time she said, "You're not going home."
Yeah,
And I said, "But he's gonna be mad. He's gonna be upset. He's gonna hurt me."
yeah.
He said, "Maria, he just threw your kid in the wall. Like, are you crazy? He's gonna end up killing you guys."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm not letting you. This time, I'm not putting you in a hotel. You're staying with me, and we're gonna go to a safe home."
Yeah.
And at that time, I was scared. I felt like I was being punishing. I was being punished for something I didn't do. Like, I was being put away for something I didn't do.
So you get to the home. You call the police.
We made a police report. Yes. Um, right after that, we did. We made a police report, and then that night I went to that party with my friend and her kids and
Yeah.
my kids. And
Yeah.
it was very emotional. I was
Yeah.
crying the whole time. I just remember John Eric telling me, "Mommy, don't cry. When I get old, I'm gonna marry you.
Uh-huh.
Don't cry. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
take care of
Yeah.
you." He was innocent.
Yeah.
He just wanted his mommy to be happy.
So you call the police. They make a report. Then what happens?
Then I make an appointment with Laura's house, which is a domestic violence shelter.
Uh-huh.
I'm scared. I'm panicking. I don't have anything on me. All I have is a stroller, 2 diapers, and baby wipes. No clothes, nothing.
And 2 children.
And 2 kids. And
No job.
No. Actually, I did have a job at that time.
Okay. So you're basically all alone in an abusive relationship, and you're in Laura's home now.
Yes.
And tell me about the experience at Laura's home.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. In what way?
They took me in and they helped me save my family and they educated me on how to stop the cycle because I was abusive to my kids myself. Um, the sheriffs were actually looking for me because we were jumping from home to home to take my kids away. So
Why do they want to take your kids away?
because I was putting them in danger because there was so many police reports made on him.
Maria, so you're at Laura's house, and tell me about some of the things you learned, and kind of describe the experiences at Laura's house.
Well, Laura's house it's a safe home for battered women, and when I say battered women, I mean it's a domestic violence shelter where people go for help, and then when I say abusive relationship, it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It can be sexually and emotionally abusive. But back to Laura's house, it's the most beautiful place to go for to recover from something.
So it's a safe
So hard.
harbor, a place of hope, healing, and restoration of your life, right?
Correct. It was a beautiful house. If I remember correctly, 2-story house.
Yeah.
Big house where there's so many rooms, so many restrooms, and inside those rooms there's a daycare for kids.
Yeah.
And there's counselors coming in.
So you're in this safe house. At any point were you ever worried that your boyfriend was going to find you? Were you there in fear? Or did you really feel safe there?
I felt really safe. Actually, this house is so protected. There's cameras everywhere. There's alarms everywhere. It's one of the safest homes I call it it was my beautiful temporarily home. It was
Huh?
it was beautiful. It was miles away from the beach.
How long were you there for?
I was only supposed to be there for 3 months, but since I had to stay and take so many classes to be able to keep my kids, I ended up staying for just about 6 months because they sent me to next door where they had apartments.
Yes.
Yes,
So you learned some parenting skills as well?
correct.
Okay. And you talk about, I know at one point you said about red flags. What are some of the red flags that you learned?
Well, the ones that I always look for is control. Like if a person is super overprotective and super controlling, I mean, you can be overprotective at some point, but when they're trying to control you where you're at, um, why wasn't your car there when I drove by? Why didn't you answer your phone when you start seeing constantly questions that are not safe, or why didn't you answer when I didn't call you? Like just little red flags, little things that when you're young you think it's okay, but it's not okay. When they start controlling what you wear and what you do.
He controlled what you wear also, huh?
Yes.
So you're there for 6 months. What was the best lesson you learned while being there?
I would have to say parenting because I was very bad. I was very young myself. I wasn't ready to be a mother. I I was not prepared for it. So I would have to say parenting. Not that anybody's ever ready for it. I mean, being a parent, there's no book for it. There's no going to school for it. You're actually never ready. It's a learning experience as you go. I would have to say parenting really helped me.
Somewhere out there, there's somebody in a relationship that's experiencing what you're experiencing, domestic violence. What advice would you give that person?
To not be afraid to ask for help. To not be afraid to go into one of these places or or tell somebody, because I would like to think I'm a walking miracle. Um, the way he hit me, the way he hit my head in some furniture, I'm I'm lucky to be alive. He could have killed me, and I would tell them to go and look for help. That it's not okay. And and by you covering for him, which is what I did, it's in the long run you're just hurting him, because now you're not just putting yourself in danger, you're putting your family in danger.
Ultimately, you went to the police department, and can you just share with people ultimately what happened to him as a result of all this violence? He paid the price, which was.
He did and he didn't because I didn't want to press charges. Um, he did accuse me of stealing the kids.
Yeah,
Little did he know that at that time I was in a safe home.
yeah.
Um, and the kids were reported. As soon as you go into a shelter, they report that
Yeah,
to the state. They
yeah,
tell them
yeah.
she's in a safe home, the kids are okay, and this is why she's here.
Yes.
So he pretty much, by going to a police station and accusing me of stealing the kids, he pretty much set himself up for it.
And what happened to him?
I didn't want to press charges, so no, he did not go to jail. I didn't want to press charges. um, he did battle. He did try to fight for custody of the kids.
Yeah.
The kids had to go to court and testify.
Yeah.
He did accuse me of being abusive as well to the kids and hurting the kids. So it was a
But
battle.
ultimately, he ended up in jail. And he ended up being
He
deported.
did. He ended up in jail because of things he did that had nothing to do with me.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with it. Okay. Um, why didn't you press charges?
I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want to hurt the father of my kids.
Looking back today, would you have done it differently?
Yes, in a heartbeat.
Yeah. What would you have done differently?
If I knew back then what I know today, the first time he put his arms on me, I would have been see ya, and I would have pressed charges.
During these very difficult times, you shared with me that you've had suicidal thoughts.
Yes, I did. I felt that my self-esteem was so low that he made me feel.
We're gonna stop. Okay. You know, uh, having suffered domestic violence is a very horrible, horrible experience. You get beaten down and lose self-worth. That it got very dark for you. That you thought of committing suicide.
Yes,
Tell me about it.
I felt ugly. I felt that my life was over, that nobody was ever gonna accept me with two kids. I felt that I had no hope. And I thought, you know what? Let's just end this. Let's drive off the cliff.
What kept you from wanting to do that?
I thought,
You actually thought of going over a cliff.
mhm.
What kept you from doing that?
I thought of my family and I thought how much they would hurt and how my it was in the kids' fault that I was going through so much hard times. And I think it was my mom the whole time telling me and guiding me through this hard time, telling me how beautiful I was and not to be afraid, that everything was going to be okay.
At what point did you think everything was going to be okay? When did you finally realize that everything's going to be okay?
I would have to say when I started job searching
Yeah.
and when I started my counseling classes
Uh-huh.
and I started understanding myself, and I would have to say a big role would have to be after my surgery, after I got my nose fixed. I felt beautiful again.
You'd broken your nose, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. We're interviewing over here.
I would have to say after my surgery, I felt like I had something to live for, that my nose was not going to stay there. It wasn't going to stay crooked forever. So I felt pretty again. I felt that,
So you had to have a nose job, reconstructive surgery
yes,
of your nose. Ah, so you have that as a reminder every time you look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, what do you say today? When Maria looks in the mirror, what do you say?
I'm so pretty. I'm so pretty. Yes, it actually did.
Pretty
And it,
inside and out?
yes, yes, my daddy told me so. I'm beautiful, I'm smart, and I'm important.
So today, you still put up a wall in relationships.
Yes.
Why do you think? Why can't you trust?
I feel like by me setting up that wall, I'm going to protect myself from being hurt. I'm afraid of being controlled again. I'm afraid that they're going to hurt me.
So you still have a trust issue with men?
Yes. I feel like I'm in a competition with men. I feel like I'm going to hurt you first. Not hurt them like in a physical way, but by not letting my heart get attached, I'll be protected. Like I'll never get hurt again.
So do you think you can ever get to the point where you can trust a man again?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm not worried about it because I feel like I'm complete. I always wanted to raise my kid up, my boys on
Right.
my
And you're
own.
and you're getting there. You have one that just graduated
Yes,
and one that's well into high school.
yes, and that was
And
scary.
pretty soon, within a couple years, you're gonna be alone maybe.
Yes, and I was afraid. I think since I had to take care of, at the same time I'm going through all this mess, I'm there for my family. Like, I love my family so much. At that time, one of my brothers is in a really bad gang,
Yeah.
and he's in a gang, and in my head I'm thinking if I don't take care of my family, this is gonna happen to me. My son's gonna go that route. So I don't think I even had the time to even think of being in love again, let alone I didn't want that. I didn't want my kids to get hurt again. I thought, I figure if I can raise my kids till they're old enough to protect themselves, I'm golden.
So, you know, you're not the oldest one in your family. You're somewhere in the middle. But it seems like you're kind of the leader of the family. Everybody turns to you when they need help. They pick up the phone. They call you. Why is that?
I think they think of me as a strong person, and if I don't have an answer, I get on the phone, I call friends, um, and I look for answers.
Okay, let's jump into after Laura's home. You leave this. You leave this the home. Then what do you do?
I go to a second home in Long Beach. Um, it's a beautiful house, again, close to the beach, and I get found by him. So at that time, he does go to jail for violating that
He
restraining
shows up
order.
there.
Yes, I was scared. I
He
thought
shows up, and then what does he say to you?
he was actually, I wasn't there. I was at the store with one of the girls that we were in the same situation. And when we come home, there's police all over our house.
Yeah.
At that time, it's a house. It's a
Yeah,
four-bedroom
right.
house we're sharing. And there's police all over, and we're trying to figure out why there's
Yeah.
cops all over the place, right? So we get there and we pulled in, and I see his car, and I
Yeah.
panic. I thought he was there to kill me.
Yeah.
I thought he was there to kill me.
And they arrested him.
Yes.
So you're in the home in Long Beach. Then where do you go?
At that time, they have to move me because I can't be there anymore
Because he found you, and for your own protection,
I
you
couldn't
have
be
to
there
be. Yeah.
anymore, which,
So it almost feels like you're underground.
yes, yes. So they sent me to second step, which is human options.
Maximum security.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And this whole time I'm thinking I'm being punished for something I didn't do.
Yeah.
I have not that you don't have freedom, but you're constantly being watched.
Yeah.
You're constantly being watched, which is okay, and you're learning. And it was a beautiful place. It was at that point they give you your own apartment. Um,
How are the boys doing in these shelters? How are they doing in these homes?
well, they're happy. They're safe.
Yeah.
There's no more screaming. But at that time they're growing, so they have questions.
Yeah.
And I still remember the day when my son came crying to me, and he's like, "Mom, we had to make shirts for Dad, for Daddy's today, for Father's Day,
Yeah.
but I don't have one."
Uh-huh.
So they want to know, are we ever gonna go back to Daddy?
Yeah.
Is he gonna change?
Yeah.
Um, he's gonna change, huh, Mommy? What do you tell your child?
Oh my. So,
So he thinks, my oldest thinks that because we're going through changes and Mommy's learning how to discipline, he's going through changes too, and he's learning. So how do you tell your child, no, your father's in prison, and he's not, we're never gonna get back together?
so being a single mom, very difficult for you?
Yes, it was. It is. I think being a parent,
What's the hardest part about being a single mom?
um, leaving your kids at a daycare,
Uh-huh.
leaving your kids anywhere, because you have to work and you're in your head. I feel that in my head I'm thinking, what if he walks out? What if a car runs him over? What if he chokes in a penny and I'm not there to protect him? Um, what if he turns, at some point I had two jobs. What if he turns to love towards gangs because I'm not there to love them?
Yeah.
What if? There was always that what if.
So you tell me at one point you were actually kind of homeless?
Yes.
What happened? How did you end up homeless?
After my shelters, I moved back home.
With your dad?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had a really bad argument
You and
over
your dad?
something.
Okay, personally you might not want
Yes.
to share about, okay.
And he kicks me out of the house. And
With the children?
well, I don't know if he kicked me out of the house with the children, but they were coming with me, that's for sure. I wasn't going to leave them behind. They were mine. Yes.
So, what did you do?
I went and rented a hotel. I stayed in a hotel, and at some point, I stayed in my car.
You lived in your car with the kids.
Yes.
Was that difficult?
I don't think I had time to think about it because I always had two jobs. So my kids were always at
So who were the
daycare.
kids? Who were the kids at daycare during that time?
Yeah, my kids were always at
So how
daycare,
would
or
you shower, change? How would you do that?
like I said, at hotels. I stay at hotels, and sometimes I even got vouchers from the shelters. I would ask for vouchers. Like I always had this thing where I would always call. I can always call Human Options and tell
Yeah.
them I'm going through this. I
Yeah.
just got in an argument with my father. He kicked me out of the house, and at some point they paid for it, and then at sometimes I
How long
paid
were you
for
out in
it.
the streets?
I would have to say it was a month. It wasn't for very long. I eventually ended up renting a room from somebody, and I focused on working. So I don't even think I had time to even think of being homeless. I was always working. I always had my brothers watch the kids for me while I was working. I don't think I probably slept 4 hours at the most, but I always paid for the hotels. I always, like, we were in homeless, like, in a way, like homeless, like,
Nonetheless, you were in a car
yeah. So I always,
and in hotel rooms.
yes,
How did you survive?
I don't know. I always had people there. I always had good, like, friends that would support me and would help me in so many ways. Like if I couldn't pay for something or if I couldn't do something, there was always it was weird. It was God was always providing for me. Like down that ugly path, there was also
So sometimes you felt you always had a guardian angel watching
yes,
over
I
you.
always had somebody watching. Till this day, I feel like God puts people in my life to help me, to protect me, to learn from them. And sometimes I feel like I like to think that I even bring joy to them at some point because we laugh, we fight, we argue.
No, really? Really?
I don't know.
That's the understatement there,
It's
right?
just weird. It's like he he's always had somebody there to help me and to protect me, and it was whether it was a relationship, whether it was a friendship, whether it was weird. It was just he was always there, like just doing like you know how you always there's a say like something good happens to you
Yeah.
and you look and you're like I know that was you, God. It
Yeah.
was just
It's kind of a God moment. You go, wow,
yes,
can't be
yes,
from anybody else.
yes. It was one of those moments where there was always someone there to help me if I couldn't pay for something. And I think that's why I've been so blessed. To tell you the truth, I've been so blessed. I have so many people that have loved me and have been there through my job. I met so many people. One time, this lady came and was like, "I talked to my church. I told them about you, and they gave me this check to give to you for your so you can have a family dinner with your kids."
Yeah.
So it was just blessings and blessings and blessings. Like through people I work
Uh-huh.
with, to people that I bumped into in my. It was just blessings and blessings. So I think that's why I'm so giving and so. I like to think I am and so caring, and always trying to do charities and
Uh-huh.
help out with projects because I feel like God was so good to me that it I can be selfish and be greedy and be like, oh, it's all about me.
So charities and giving back to the community. What are some of the things that you're involved in right now?
Many, many. As everybody knows, I helped my friend. I'm the ambassador of La Habra when her daughters got crowned, and that was a beautiful experience that I got involved in. And then I just did the citrus fair with La Habra, which it was fun, and I was called the bubble queen, which it was fun, and now I'm working with Relay for Life, which is
So I guess what I want to ask you is, you were beaten down, you were down on the ground, and really not even able to help yourself. What made you decide to blossom and take that step to get where you are today to give back? What gave you the confidence to do that? Because in reality, you really couldn't take care of yourself at one time.
well, funny that you say that because me and my father were just talking about that, and being the storage queen that I am, I was blessed with my customers always being there for me, always being so caring, so loving, and they would come to get a storage unit, and they were going through something similar, a loss, a loss of a family, and one of their loved ones was being abused, anything. They were going through a lot, and then I would share my story with them, and so we would build that relationship, and then they just loved me, and they were just wanted to be there for me, wanted to help me. So I decided one day that we weren't gonna have a Christmas. That just like God has sent me all these angels, that I was gonna use all that love to teach my kids that hey, it's really not that bad. Like we have a
You wanted to
roof
give back because you were blessed.
because I was blessed, and my family would look at me and be like, "Are you crazy? Like, you're barely making it as a single mom. Here you come with baskets, and you make baskets, and you're raising money." I would always want to raise money, but it was like I could have raised that money and kept it and be greedy about it, but it was to help single moms need. Like, I felt that I wanted them to know that there was hope out there, and till this day, I want them to know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
That if I did it with no education, because I think that my education was um, my life,
Yeah.
what I had to do to survive.
Are you surprised you've gotten this far so far?
I am. I never thought I was going to make it this far. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of falling. I feel that if I overcame the loss of my mother and I overcame this abusive relationship, I can overcome anything.
So how did you end up becoming the queen of storage, as you call yourself? How did you end up here in La Habra?
I was tired of not being there for my kids. I wanted it to be a stay-home mom.
Hmm.
And I was at the point where I even told my father, I'm going to put all my things in storage. I'm going to go rent a room somewhere. I'm tired of working two jobs. And I'm just going to enjoy my kids. I feel like I missed out on so much. And then this opportunity came up, and I took it, and I said, I'm ready to be a stay-home mom. And I took it.
So you joined the storage industry,
Yes,
and you've met a lot of people.
I have.
What have your customers meant to you? What have these people meant to you that you've met
They
in the
mean the
industry?
world to me. I think they're my motivation. It's like waking up every morning and going to work and hearing a story. We all have a story to tell, and to tell them that it's okay that they're losing, not that they're losing, it's okay what they're going through, that it's temporarily, that this is their temporarily home, that it's going to get better, that it's okay.
So you talk about everybody has a story.
Yes, we all
Uh,
have a story to tell.
and you're right in the middle of your story right now that we're going through.
Yes.
How do you see Maria's story ending?
I would love to see, of course, I would love to see my kids, you know, graduate, accomplish their goals, go to college, start a career. I'm still waiting for them to have girlfriends. I want to have daughters. I want to be a grandma. Um, I want to see them happy. No, when it comes,
That's their portion of the story. How about now? What's your story?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm a butterfly. I don't know where I'm gonna land or where I'm gonna be tomorrow. I
So
don't
there's
know.
so many layers to Maria when you pull in. There's this layer, that layer there. Why are you so, in some ways, very complicated?
Complicated.
There's so many layers. I know I guess there's very many layers to you. One day I get Maria Martinez. One day I get MariPosa. One day I get the adventures of MariPosa. There's so many different layers to you. Why does that make you so many different layers in you?
Well, I would have to say, as Eric would say, my son,
Mm.
because we talked about him getting that tattoo, and I said, "There's no way you're getting that tattoo until you pay for it, because I'm not gonna pay for it."
Do you have a tattoo?
No. And I'm saying, and if you do, he's like, "What if I get your name?" And I'm like, "My name? No, you're not getting my name." He's like, "Mariposa."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Why would you want to put Mariposa, and why would you even want to put that in your hands, in your body?"
Mm.
And he said, "Because when people ask Me, why I got that, I'm gonna say because it reminds me of my mom. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, she likes to be free. Like, she's a free spirit.
Do you think you'll always be like that?
I hope so. I'm happy. I'm happy. I hope so.
There's a song that they've played in part of this interview we done called Purpose. What does that song mean to you? Why is that song so important to you?
When I first heard it, it reminded me of how I share, shared so many tears because it was tough losing your mom at such a young age. It was
Yeah.
tough going through an abusive relationship. It was tough raising my kids on my own. But I kept, and then when it talked about, and so many promises that I kept, one of them being, I promised myself that I would raise my kids on my own till they were old enough to protect themselves, because I didn't want them to ever get hurt again.
Yeah.
And when I think of purpose, I think of Eric.
Uh-huh.
I think of he was the purpose at that time when I was going through this dark cloud. He was the purpose why I was able to survive the loss of my mom. And I think I think there's a purpose to everything, and I think that, and this is going back to my favorite book. I feel that God put me through all this so I can help many people in many ways. I feel like being in the storage business has, for almost 14, 15 years, has helped me help so many people when they're going through so many hard times. I've been able to guide them through to shelters. I've been able to guide them to through legal stuff like that they can do at that time to get help.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Traveling. I want to travel in my black car and just go all over the place and just, I want to be free.
Free.
Yes, I want to be free.
Free.
I want to travel. I don't I don't see myself getting married. I don't see myself having a family because I'm afraid of being tied down.
When was the best time of your life, Maria?
When I was a little girl, when I had a mom, even though even though it was tough, I feel that that was the best time of my life. My quinceañera, my mom.
When was the worst time of your life?
Well, besides the loss of my mom, I would have to say when my child was pushed. I don't I till this day I feel responsible for that. Like, that hurts me. That hurts me that I allowed my child to get hurt.
What has the community meant to you? You have so many friends in the community. What has the community of La Habra meant to you over the years? You've been here 3 years?
Yes,
And what's this community meant to you in the short time you've been here?
it's my family. I feel like they took me and they just loved on me. They they just loved on me, and I feel that when I'm hurting, I can come to them, I can call them, and they'll pray for me. And I'm not alone. I feel loved. I feel love. I love them. I really do. I feel like sincere love. Like when they tell me, Maria, call me, I'm only a call away. And when I get on the phone and I tell them what I'm going through and what a tough day I had and that they pray for me, I feel love. I feel like I feel like it's true love.
Do you have a motto in your life? What's your motto?
In what way?
Motto, like, do you have a saying or do you have something that kind of describes you in your life? You know, your motto. Do you have a uh,
I have
what do you live your life by? What do you live your life? Let me say, what do you live your life by?
Yes, I do. I think my favorite one would be yellow. You only live once and live it to the limit. A dream.
Live it to
Let's
the limit.
dream. Let's dream. To me it's like let's dream. Like I
So, when you go to bed and your head hits the pillow, what do you dream about? Other than me.
Funny that you say that because my head is always spinning. I'm always thinking of ways of improving. I'm always thinking of ways of helping. I'm always thinking, hey, what if we do this? What if we raise money for this cause? I feel like my mind is always spinning.
Always
Like
going 100 miles per hour, trying to
yes,
help
trying to help others.
others.
It always seems like I feel like by helping
And
others, I'm helping myself.
you like to self-enrich yourself in terms of reading. You like to spend time reading.
Yes,
And some of the books you're reading, Purpose-Driven Life.
yes,
What else are you reading?
dear woman.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Are you a dear woman?
Um. Yes, I think we are. I think we owe that to ourselves. We all deserve to be loved, and we all deserve to be respected. Yes.
Some people see MariPosa and they see you on the internet, fashion and attending this event, that event. It's almost like you have an alter ego as well as this thing. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, there's like I said, multi layers, but there's different aspects of Maria. So, what's this fashion stuff and what's this stuff that you do on the internet and all this stuff?
Well, it's called MariPosa's Closet. Um, I always, since I was a little girl, I thought of myself as a celebrity. I thought of myself as an actor. I know, right? We all dream. We all dream. And it's funny because when I met Scarlett Salceda, which is our ambassador of La Habra, which I love her dearly, um, and she started inviting me to this event, I was afraid. I still felt that little
Yeah.
I still felt my self esteem wasn't all there yet. So I would have to say La Habra helped me grow as a person. And she would always tell me not to be afraid to think
Yeah.
of myself as an actor. And then I would look at her and I'd be like, hey, I always wanted to be an actor. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So,
So, is this kind of a show or is this the real Maria? What are we getting then? Are we getting
I don't
acting
know.
Maria?
It's like a layer. Like you never know what I'm gonna be doing. Like I don't even know where I'm gonna be tomorrow. I don't know. I always wanted it to be an actor. I used to dance when I was little.
Yeah.
I used to be in competitions, and I feel that I put all that in hold to raise my kids.
Yeah.
But I always rip like my clothes, and I would always try to like make like a dress, make it into a skirt and a dress. I always like to play with my heels. I always like to play with my clothes, and I don't know. It's just weird, like how things are coming together. Like I feel like I'm doing everything backwards.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing everything backwards. Like everything I should have done when I was
Yeah.
15, I'm doing it now rather
So
than
you're living life now
yes.
because you couldn't live life before.
I because I didn't have time for it. I was trying to save my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you most proud of?
Right now,
Right now, what are you most proud of?
my son, Eric.
Okay.
I'm really proud of him because he's been through a lot. He's been through a lot, and he took that role as which breaks my heart that he feels till this day that he has to protect his mama. So, so for him to graduate and to see him job searching and looking into going to college, and he's confused right now, to watch him grow and become the man that he is today, going through that, like always worry about your mom getting hurt. His childhood was not, it's not, and it has not been easy.
What would you do different in life? If you do it all over again, what would you do different?
I don't, I don't know. I would like to say many things, but I'm happy. I'm very proud of myself, and I feel that this was God's destiny, and this is what He wrote. And I could have done things differently in many ways, and I could have gone in many other directions, but you never question Him.
What's the best advice you can give somebody right now that's watching this out there? What's the best advice you can give them in life right now? With all the experiences you've had, what's the best advice? What's the message you want to give somebody right now?
That there's hope, and to never stop dreaming, and that nothing is impossible. As my mom would say, es difícil llegar a la luna y ya llegaron. So nothing's impossible. Let's dream.
How do you do that though, when even today you sometimes experience difficulties and challenges every day? What gets you to that point that you can follow your own advice?
I would have to say, going back to my mom again, her whispering, and I don't even know if it's whispering, it's this relationship I have with her. I think her memories, her thoughts, what
Yeah.
she taught me in life, it's it's what keeps me, and it reminds me of who I am today.
What's the biggest fear you have in life?
Losing my father.
Yeah.
Losing my father. It's my biggest fear. Um, or something happening to my boys. It's my biggest fear. I feel like my father's the only thing I have, and I might not agree with a lot of the things he's done, but he's still my father, and I love him dearly.
What's the most important thing you can tell me about yourself?
I would have to say that I learned to love myself, and in a way I never thought I would. I I think the hardest part was like learning to stop blaming myself for things I didn't do. So I would have to say that I learned to love me again.
When I come up to you and I say, who's Maria Martinez-You? What do you say?
She's some crazy chick, full of life and full of adventures that loves.
How would you like to be remembered? You're not going to last forever.
I know, right? I
So
think
how
it
would you like
was
to be remembered?
as a caring, loving person like my mother is. Remember, I try to teach my kids all the values she taught me because I want them to remember me like I remember my mother. That's how I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered as this girl that loved and cared for others and just cared about how she looked, and um, happy. I want to be remembered as a happy person, full of life. That that's how I want to be remembered.
I think we're done.
I think so too.